They say peace never lasts long when arrogance moves in next door. For me, that peace ended on a Tuesday morning, with a mug of black coffee in my hand and the sound of machinery tearing through the quiet. From my porch, I saw a backhoe digging right through the east edge of my property, right where my oak trees stood like old friends I'd known all my life. At first, I figured it was a mistake. Maybe the county crew had mixed up their coordinates. My land sits outside any HOA boundaries, 15 acres I'd bought free and clear. No committees, no dues, no nosy neighbors telling me how tall my grass should be. I paid extra for that freedom, and I wasn't about to let anyone chip away at it. By the time I crossed the gravel path, the damage was already done. One of my oldest oaks had roots torn up orange spray paint all over the ground like a crime scene, and men in reflective vests were lowering concrete frames into a trench that most definitely wasn't on the neighbor's side. I raised a hand. "Hey, what's going on here?" One guy built like a refrigerator and covered in drywall dust didn't even look at me. "You'll have to talk to the boss, man. We just do the work." And then I saw her. Black SUV sunglasses big enough to cover half her face, holding a fancy coffee like it was a prop. She stepped out with that kind of confidence only money gives people, fake and loud. "You must be Eli," she said, using my name like she already owned it. "I'm Marissa Drake. I just bought the lot next door. Gorgeous spot, isn't it? I'm building a little vacation cottage here." I stared at her for a long second before answering. "Lady, your vacation cottage is on my land." She laughed, one of those tight, dismissive laughs that drips with condescension. "Oh, don't be dramatic. It's just a sliver. What do you even use this patch for? Ant Hill's shade?" That did it. I pointed to the tree line. "That sliver includes my drainage system, 3 trees and 18 feet into my legal boundary. You're trespassing." She waved her coffee like she was shooing away a fly. "Relax. I've already spent over $100,000 on this project. You'll love it when it's done. It'll raise property values for everyone. Besides," she added, flashing a grin that had no warmth at all, "I have verbal permission." From who, I asked. "The ghost of my lawyer." "From the previous owner," she said sweetly. "He said I could extend the footprint a little if I kept it tasteful. A gentleman's agreement." That gentleman, I reminded her, had been dead for 4 years. I could almost see her confidence flicker, but it came back just as fast. "Look, Eli, let's not be enemies. One day this will be a luxury retreat, maybe even part of the Cedar Creek HOA. They're very supportive." I clenched my jaw. "Cedar Creek's 2 miles away and has zero authority here. You've got 72 hours to remove your equipment and tear up the foundation, or I'll make sure the county does it for you." She smiled that lawyer smile. "See you in court, cowboy." The next day, I pulled every county map and land record I could find just to calm the anger boiling in my gut. The documents confirmed what I already knew. It was my land, clear as day. By noon, I'd printed everything, notarized it, and headed back to the site with a folder thick enough to choke a horse. The machines were still roaring, chewing deeper into my property. When I called out for them to stop, the same fridge-shaped worker looked up, grinned, and said, "You should step back before you get hurt." Before I could reply, Marissa's SUV rolled up again. "Eli," she said, stepping out with her sunglasses tilted low. "I told you we have permission. Why don't you go home and let the professionals handle it?" "You're building on my land," I snapped. "Now get your people out of here." Her smile froze. Then, without missing a beat, she turned to her crew. "Get him off the site. He's trespassing." The words hit like a command. 3 men closed in on me, cracking knuckles and smirking. I barely had time to say a word before one shoved me hard in the shoulder, another swung his arm into my ribs, and the third cracked a laser measurer across my eyebrow. The world went white, then red. I hit the dirt, blood dripping into my eye papers, flying everywhere. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard her say, "That's enough. Don't kill him. Just teach him to stay off my property." I don't remember getting up, just the sound of a dog barking somewhere down the road and a man yelling, filming everything with his phone. Her goons backed off. She leaned close and whispered, "Push me again, and you'll regret it." That night I sat in the hospital, arm broken, head glued shut, anger simmering like acid in my chest. I called my old friend Will Hunter, now a lieutenant at the sheriff's office. We'd worked together years ago when I handled property fraud investigations. Will, I said, voice tight, "They broke my arm." He didn't ask for details. "Stay put," he said. "I'm coming." An hour later, I handed him the whole file: photos, plats, deeds, the video from the witness. He flipped through the pages, his expression hardening. "She's building without permits," he said. "And her contractor, Travis Malone, he's on probation." This just got interesting. The next morning, my gravel driveway looked like a parade route. 2 unmarked trucks, a county inspection van, and a black SUV with tactical officers in vests. Will climbed out chewing gum like he'd been waiting for this moment. "Got the permits," he said. "She never filed a damn thing. And Travis? He's working illegally. Let's go educate some folks." We crossed the line together, boots crunching the dirt. Marissa stood near the half-built foundation in a pink blazer and designer sneakers, barking at her contractor. When she saw us, her voice went up an octave. "Officers, is there a problem?" Will didn't even blink. "Ma'am, we're here to enforce a stop work order for unlawful construction and boundary encroachment. Step aside." Her face drained of color. "This is a misunderstanding. The Cedar Creek HOA has nothing to do with this land. We'll cut in." Then he turned to Travis. "You're under arrest for violating your suspension. Hands where I can see them." Travis tried to talk his way out of it, but ended up in cuffs. Marissa screamed about harassment and misogyny, while inspectors plastered red stop notices across her Range Rover and equipment. I didn't say a word. I just watched the law do its quiet, merciless work. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, she brought the fight to court with a witness. Some guy named George Peterson, a retired pilot from 2 houses down, claimed he'd overheard the previous owner giving her permission to use the land. My lawyer and I exchanged a look. That previous owner was my uncle, and he'd rather sell his soul than deal with HOA types. I went home, dug through every document I had, emails, letters, the original sale contract. Then I found a recorded call between my uncle and the county assessor, dated 3 months before I bought the land. His voice was clear as day: no easements, no use allowances. I want my property locked down tight. We submitted that along with an affidavit from the realtor. Then Will called me with a bombshell. "Eli, guess who paid Peterson $1,500 2 weeks before the hearing?" Marissa Drake. Labeled as consulting services. By the next morning, her so-called witness was testifying against her in exchange for immunity. The DA added witness tampering and fraud to her list of charges, and the Cedar Creek HOA. They ghosted her completely, pulled their expansion plans off the county site, and pretended she'd never existed. When the final hearing came, the courtroom smelled like old carpet and cold coffee. Judge Morales listened patiently as my attorney presented the evidence: boundary overlays, survey reports, hospital records, and that recorded call. Then came the footage of her crew assaulting me. She didn't even look at it. Just stared straight ahead, face blank, jaw clenched. Her lawyer tried every angle, misunderstanding community benefit support from the HOA. The judge raised a hand. "Stop. That HOA has no authority here. And as for your witness, he was paid. Case closed. The verdict hit like a gavel to stone. Marissa was found liable for trespass, unlawful construction, and civil conspiracy. Ordered to demolish the foundation at her own expense within 30 days. Restraining order granted. Criminal trial pending. She didn't cry. She just sat there blinking, as if the world had betrayed her. I gathered my papers, nodded at the judge, and walked out into the sunlight. The house came down a week later, no headlines, no audience, just dust and jackhammers, and 2 workers arguing over who got to run the excavator. I watched from my porch, arm finally out of the sling, coffee back in hand. The oak she'd scarred was still standing, roots exposed but alive. The arborist said it had a fighting chance. So did I. Marissa disappeared after that. Rumor has it she sold off her company to cover fines and unpaid wages. The HOA's lawyer resigned. The land healed slowly, and so did I. I fixed the fence, planted 2 new saplings, and installed a motion sensor by the eastern line. Then I added a sign, small, simple, weatherproof. Private property. Not for sale. Not negotiable. Not yours. Last week, an older couple walking their dog stopped to read it. The man smiled and said, "There's a story behind that, isn't there?" I nodded. "Yeah," I said, watching the wind move through the trees. "But it's better told over coffee than in court." So tell me, what would you have done? Let her finish her dream cottage or take back what's yours, no matter how much it costs? Drop a comment below. I'm curious where you stand on justice, pride, and the line between peace and war on your own land.